ITT. Let's talk the talk. 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 ITT. Let's talk the talk.
Musical Musical SP.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Influence Talk Time. My name is Stephen Muzan, aka Influence. You already know me. We are here again on another interesting episode, another interesting day. Like you already know, Thursdays are for ITT. With me is a very special person, a learned person, an academic guru, a genius in his own area of expertise, and he is here to do justice to the topic teacher-student relationship. Please, sir, kindly introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Philip Festus Ukata.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard him, Mr. Philip Ukata. He is a lecturer. He is a very professional individual. He has gotten his PhD. He has gotten, I don't know if it is the highest academic attainment, but he has attained an enviable height, I should say so, and I'm sure I wouldn't be wrong. So we are very much happy to have a very important guest today. I think this is the first, I think the highest degree holder of a guest that we've had, and I want to say that ITT is going higher and higher. It is a plus on us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, going quickly forward on today's episode. It is a common saying that we learn every day, just as we are here. And this is a learning forum, learning place. And learning involves teachers and students. And our guest is here to tell us the relationship, the connectedness, what goes on between learners and teachers, what ensures proper learning. And we know that there will be no, we'll say learning hasn't taken place if there is no change in the person, and the person as in the learner. So we want to know from our guests how this change comes to be possible in every individual, the level of change, how often, what happens, the factors, what necessitates these changes in individuals. So, Mr. Philip Ukata, my first question would be, what is learning?
Learning is a process of acquiring a knowledge that has a relative change in the behavior of an individual. It could also be an animal, but in this case, I think we're looking at the human being. So there must be a relatively change in the behavior of that person for there to be learning, for learning to take place.
Okay. Thank you very much. You heard that? Like we said, there should be a relative change for us to know that learning has taken place. Thank you, sir. So, who is a teacher?
A teacher is one who has been trained with educational qualification. If you look at the educational system, the minimum standard now is NCE, but I think Nigerian government has upgraded. Now they said it's first degree. But in that first degree, it doesn't mean when you acquire a first degree, you're automatically a teacher. No, there are some certain fields, especially people who specializes in education. Those are the people that are qualified, because in the process of acquiring that your first degree, you're automatically acquiring the teaching skills, the teaching techniques and methods. You also have the managerial skills to manage the classroom, which have the students. So the teacher is one that is trained as a professional to manage the classroom with other materials available to enable him or her transmit idea or knowledge to the learner.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you have at this point answered a particular question I wanted to ask, but it still borders on the academic environment.
Okay.
I wanted to ask what qualifies a teacher? That you have given us an academic standard. of who a teacher should be. But we will not deny the fact that away from the academic environment, there are acclaimed teachers in different areas, maybe in the leisure sector, or we also have I think you will agree with me that we have a formal and informal education.
Yes.
And in education, the teachers and the students. So I want to know, in the area of informal education, who can be said is qualified to be a teacher in an informal environment?
Yeah, before I go into that, in addition to your educational qualification that you may have, either as a first degree, second degree, or a PhD, you also have a membership certificate that is also needed. You must also register with what they call Teacher Registration Council.
Okay.
When you register with Teacher Registration Council, it means that you are a satisfied teacher.
Okay.
Then apart from that, you also have other professional body depending on the course that you read.
Okay.
Like me, I read business education. As a business educator, I have to be a member of Association of Nigerian Business Educators to qualify me, satisfy me as a real business educator for me to practice in the field, in addition with my teacher registration certificate to show that I am a professional teacher. Then coming to your question in the aspect of the informal sector. The informal sector does not have any benchmark. It all depends on the person's skill and what the person is doing. Take for granted, in the local area, you have the craftsmen, people that carve boots. You have the carpentry people. These people didn't go to any particular school, but it depends on the craft and what they specialize in terms of their skills and competencies. So these are the things that actually transmit to their learners. And you know, in the aspect of teaching and learning too, one could be a professor, but you become an illiterate in a particular area. In another field.
That's true.
You understand? So even in the informal sector, if you have a professor in a particular field, to that particular sector where you have a carpenter, the professor is a novice, is an illiterate in that area. So in that case, even with the skill, with a certificate, the carpenter can teach the professor.
That's true. I think there's this joke that do go around from time to time. It's an old one. I think let me just share it before we go forward. They said a professor was in a boat with a fisherman. So he was speaking big English. He asked the fisherman, "Do you know this? Do you know that?" You know, the fisherman said, "I don't know." Say, "You bloody illiterate." So the fisherman, they got to a point, I think there was a storm, and the fisherman asked the professor, "Do you know swimmingology?" The professor said, "No." "Do you know fishingology?" He said, "No." "Do you know divingology?" He said, "Then you are going to drowningogy and you'll be eaten by fishingology." So just like you said, you could be a professor in your own field, but in another field you aren't a professor. So bordering on you have said there are, let us for a bit concentrate on the teachers, then we could go to the learners and see how you marry them together. On the teachers, you've said there are standards, a kind of benchmark in the formal sector. You need to be certified by an association, depending on your field, away from having a degree. Then I want to find out, we live in a well systematized society. When it comes to the educational sector, it is well structured to an extent. We have the private schools and the government schools. I want to believe within me that these standards are strict to an extent in the government owned establishments. So I want to know, in the private schools, especially when we're talking about maybe secondary and the primary, these standards, are they obtainable? Do they use it for the employment of teachers?
Yeah, it is not mostly practiced in the private schools.
I noticed.
If you ask me, because a lot of studies are there available to show that they don't practice. You can see somebody who reads, let's say, religious studies, and the person might ask to come and teach a particular subject in science, or somebody who reads science, and the person might ask to come and teach a particular subject in arts. One, they don't have what it takes to employ these persons.
The real
professionals. So most at times, what they do is just to fill in the gap. That is what they do. They do fill in gap. But there are also some schools. There are some big schools in town who go strictly on this professionalism when they want to employ you. These are the people that they are established already. They have the finances. Of course, you know that the issue of education mostly boils down to finance and the state of the mind, the policy maker, dedication and the readiness in order to handle the whole situation. So if you have good developmental policy, you have the finance, and you have the readiness, you can go. So most of the things that happen in the private school, you see people managing quacks in the whole process. So just like you have somebody, you give a tool to a medical doctor and a tool to somebody who is not a medical doctor, and ask person to go and operate on somebody. Do you understand? So that is what happened mostly. So they are just trying to manage the whole situation, but that is not to say that there are no private schools that deals with specialization. There are some of them.
Okay, thank you very much. Let us not dwell too much on that. Let's see how we can concentrate our energy on the university, the tertiary institutions, the higher institutions, and all that. We have heard different cases or stories of different types of teachers and lecturers in the higher institution, mostly negative stories. So we will try to see how we can go into some of those issues and clarify things. Before now, I think in the early episode of ITT, we had a topic that said Nigerian educational system, key or fraud. It's kind of a question mark. It was a student perspective. So we are yet to deal on the teacher perspective. Now, the guest we had that day, Mr. Otonyi Daniel, a graduate of history and diplomatic studies, he gave his testimonies, more or less bitter testimonies of what happened with him in the universities, and also some testimonies of other students, how lecturers treat them and all that. And I want to believe that the way the lecturers handle students also affects the way they learn, the way they receive knowledge. So my first question in that regard is, what is the prescribed method? I know it's a large question, we could break it down. What is the prescribed method for impacting knowledge in the higher institution?
Well, thank you so much for that question. Let me say that the issue of educational system is a very broad one. You have the physical aspect of it, and you have the abstract aspect of it.
Okay.
At the physical aspect of it, you have the structures, you have the management team of the school, and under this management team you have either the rector, the VC and his management team. You also have the other board members. Under this, you also have the lecturers, you also have the students as part of the physical structure of the educational system. You have the university, the educational system environment itself. You also have the host community. So the system is a community of its own.
Wow.
A community of its own. So that is that in that aspect of this, because all at the physical too, you also have the laboratories, you have the classrooms, that you have the learning materials that aid the teacher to teach and the students in terms of teaching and learning. All these things are part of the physical aspect of it. You have the surroundings, the environment. Now, to us in this part of the world, most of the times we don't give attention to all these things. Wow. But these are factors that actually influence teaching and learning and make the learning environment a conducive one. Then in the abstract aspect of it, which has to do with the relationship we're talking about. Of course, when we're talking about relationship, it's not something that you can see.
Yeah, of course.
It is something that is abstract.
It's abstract.
So in that case, you have the curriculum. Under the curriculum, you have the co-curriculum, which is the main curriculum. You have the co-curriculum and you have the hidden curriculum. Under the hidden curriculum, that is where you find this teacher-student relationship.
Oh, sorry, why is it called the hidden?
The hidden curriculum is hidden curriculum because it's something that is embedded in both the students and the teacher, which is not known to anybody. So they come to display it. Apart from the curriculum,
not like it is written down somewhere. It's one subconsciousness,
yes,
that you bring into the environment.
Yes, into the system. It's called the hidden curriculum. You have the co-curriculum. These are activities that
more like area of compromise.
It's not area of compromise. The co-curriculum are actually those activities that complement the main learning. You talk about debating, you talk about sports. These are things that are also prescribed as part of the teaching and learning process that students must also partake. These are things that help. You talk about debates, that are the things that complement teaching and learning. Then when you talk about the main curriculum, which has to do with the subject area in which the teacher is expected to specialize in. So things are, you have the emotional aspect of it in terms of the relationship. You have the economic aspect of it in terms of the relationship. You have the aspect of the teaching and learning in terms of the relationship.
It's broad.
It's broad. You also have the aspect of business in terms of the relationship. You have the religious aspect of it in terms of the relationship. You have the emotional aspect of it in terms of relationship. And I think the one that people in this part of the world are mostly giving attention to is the romantic aspect of it.
And the economic
business aspect of it. So these are some of the things that are involved. So basically, you classify it into the physical environment, educational environment, and the abstract environment. So this relationship we're talking about falls under this abstract environment.
Okay. So going back to the question, all these factors kind of letting us understand that the standard or the prescribed method or way of teaching, impacting knowledge is kind of wide. It's a wide scope and it involves a lot of things which maybe we may not be able as an individual to lay it down to a layman's understanding. Okay, fine.
No, we can. Okay, let me. Now, if you're talking about a lay-down procedure, in the teaching and learning process, there are different types of teaching methods that a teacher is expected to adopt. You have role play, you have discussion method, you have team method, you have group method, you have lecturing methods, you have you have field trip. These I can bring my students into this studio to come and see how you do your projecting, and it is also part of the teaching and learning method. But for you to do that, you must also look at what are the roles of a teacher before you now be looking at the standards. You understand? Because the teacher one is expected to be a leader.
Yeah.
You're expected to be a mentor.
Yeah.
You're expected to be a guidance. You're expected to be a father and a mother,
a friend,
a counselor, a friend. So a lot of things are involved. So
not a bully.
Yes, not a bully. You're not expected to be a bully.
Not an extortioner.
Not an extortioner. So when you go into all that, it means that you do not have the required qualifications in terms of character content as a teacher. So there is no prescribed method. So in a teaching and learning environment, at a particular time, a teacher can deploy more than 3, 4, 5 instructional methods, teaching method, to make sure that the objectives for that day is achieved, depending on what he or she wants to do at a particular time.
Okay, thank you, sir. You have made mention of different methods, field trip, group, and all of that. So, amidst all these methods, which are they commonly used within the Nigerian education system?
Yeah, in the Nigerian educational system, it depends on the course you're teaching. Like in my field, we also have what we call a practical teaching. That is what we do. That's what we do. There is another teaching method too. So, but that because of the situation we find ourselves, you discover that in many situations where you're expected to go into the lab to go and do experiment, to go and practicalize what you're supposed to do, because there are no equipment, you don't go into that. So teachers now resort to using lecturing methods, which is not enough. In short, studies have shown that it is an inadequate way of teaching students, because you only speed food the students. The students don't demonstrate what they have. They don't also interact, apart from maybe asking few questions. So basically, it depends on what you are doing. If somebody is teaching history, of course, you cannot ask such a person to go to the lab and begin to demonstrate. The most method that would be appropriate would be a lecturing method. You understand?
And maybe field trips
Field
to
and maybe
historical
field trip,
sites.
yes, historical site,
Yeah.
to go and show the students, look at in so year, this is what happened here, in so year, this is what happened here. But if you're teaching a student, let's say a course like keyboarding, it is expected that the desktop should be there in front of the students.
Yeah.
The students should see the keyboard. You should be able to hold the fingers of the students and place it appropriately on the keyboard. But sometimes you see that the studios are not even there, let alone the computer. Although some schools now are trying to come up. So one, there is no laid down instructional method, teaching method, but all depends on what you are doing at that particular moment and what the teacher wants to do. Another thing too, it depends on the competency of the teacher, because if the teacher is deficient in a particular instructional method, take for granted the teacher is not fluent, he does not know touch typing, you can't go to the keyboard. If the teacher is not groomed, is not free, he does not know much about the use of the computer, the person will find it difficult to go there to go and demonstrate for the student to see and follow.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's go into the classroom.
Okay.
Now, we are in the classroom right now, and there is a lecturer in the classroom of over 100 students. Now we're talking about teacher-student relationship, communication. That sometimes, even in our homes, there's a way your parents will keep their facial expression. The child will get a signal and know if maybe what I'm doing is not okay or is not right. There's a situation where you have over 100 students. What is the communication level? How do teachers manage, lecturers manage to impart knowledge? How do they interact with over 100 students?
Well, it is actually a problem and quite unfortunate, especially in this part of the world. Ordinarily, in a standard classroom, you're not supposed to have more than 40 students. Because, take for granted, you're doing a practical course. It is expected that the teacher should be able to have a touch with the students, interact with them, and know what they are doing. As you demonstrate, you give them the task, you now move from one seat to another to see. But because of the porosity we have in the system, you see a system where a classroom is very crowded, and the teacher is sometimes the heat that is even generated from the students in the classroom becomes a problem. So that is not a conducive classroom system in any way at all, and that is what the problem we're having. That is the problem we're having currently. So the classroom size is supposed to be cut into a minimum size such that the teacher can manage the students. You're expected to know the names of your students, know them by name, one after the other, interact them. So when you have a larger crowd like that, it becomes difficult. And sometimes you also discover that students can't be behind doing what is not necessary, and you are the teacher. If you're not competent, you will not be able to manage them.
Okay, so from your experience as a lecturer, what is the highest number of students you have ever had to teach or manage within a space of time?
Yeah, I have managed over 120 students in a class.
In a class?
Yes,
throughout a semester, throughout a session?
Yes, throughout a section. That is on daily basis. But another thing, it depends on the competency of the lecturer.
Yeah.
Another thing I will also add is that, the classroom management is a democratic process. So before you start with the students, you set the do's and don'ts.
Okay.
And these do's and don'ts are the things that you don't bring it out yourself. You ask the students, what do you think we're going to use in guiding this class?
Okay.
You will spell it out. One of it will maybe no noise making, no harassment.
Are you going to do that every day?
No, not every day. What's happening is that at the beginning of the semester, the first day, you get in touch with the students. That should be the first thing after introduction and
there should be rules and regulations in the school that should cover all these things.
Yes, sometimes the school have their own rules.
Okay.
Like those of us that use the studio regularly, we do have them. But there are sometimes when you give the students the opportunity, you see them bringing in new ideas. Okay. So you don't depend on what you have that sometimes must have been updated.
What if their idea is, like you mentioned, outdated? What if their idea is kind of becoming modern in order to make things more convenient for them, even though it appears to be against the school prescribed rules?
And that is
still condone it.
And that is why you are there as the manager of the place.
Okay.
It is now your duty to come in and tell them that, look, because of this, we will not be able to accommodate this. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to have a rule that will be able to guide you and your students. So when you come into the class, you will be more conscious than your students. And at every point in time, as the teaching and learning are going on, you continue to drag the attention to the basic rules that are guiding you. And if you have these rules, and these rules are democratic, I bet you can manage a classroom of 150, although it's not easy, because it's not going to make you looking back and front almost everywhere in the classroom to make sure that sometimes you have eye contact. Because when the classroom is large like that, you discover that some students will be doing some other things while the classroom is
distraction to both you and other students.
Yes, so it is your duty now to be on ground and make sure that you monitor them bomber to bomber.
Okay, talking about still on student-teacher relationship, still talking about a large crowd of students outside the classroom. How do you manage to kind of have that close relationship with your students across the gender, amidst all these stories and all that comes out? How do you manage it?
That is what we're talking about. And if you look at the types of relationship that I've mentioned, now also when you look at the relationship, there are relationships within the school period. There are also relationships outside the school period. Relationship within the school period and relationship outside the school period. The ones that are within the school period sometimes also coincide with the ones that are outside the school period. So now basically it depends on the kind of person you are. There are some teachers, the activities with their student ends in class.
It's true.
And it ought not to be so.
A lot of them like that.
Yeah.
Even right after a particular class, if you want to go, you get to their office.
Yes.
They don't attend to you.
It's supposed to be.
Any question you want to ask me in the classroom, and after that, they have no business with you in that aspect.
Yeah. So it's not to be so. That is not the way it's supposed to be. The as a teacher, the student is looking up to you, and when you don't put on that face of friendliness, it's there are some students that cannot ask questions in the class.
The crowd, yeah, it's true.
There are so many. So some of them, when they get to you, either in the office or immediately after the class, you see them pouring out their mind. There are a particular situation, particular experience I had. I was teaching, and I noticed that a particular student was not writing. So, and in my class, I don't like somebody sitting down without doing anything. Whatever it is, make sure that you're doing something, because as your hand is moving, your brain too will be working. As your brain is working, it means that you have attention on what the teacher is saying. So I never knew that the student had a very serious deficiency. So in the process too, I also noticed that there are some of them that were trying to do something but they could not. So I now said, okay, but even if you're having any challenge, that even after the classroom, we can still meet. Come to my office, we can talk. You know that the students came. And in my office, these students cried for like 3 hours. The student was trying to narrate the ordeal the student went through during a secondary school process, which led to that serious deficiency in what she was going through. And luckily, one of my colleagues too came in. Right there, the student drank a bottle of my water, one bottle, and she was still crying. Until we could not conclude the whole issue for that day. We suspended it. Was the following day, students came back, and she opened up and told me, this is a very promising entrepreneur. The student told me that she has been getting contract, but she does not know how to do, develop business plans, how to, so many things to do.
Yeah.
So for that, a lot of things have been reading that. So she decided to come to school to acquire the skills and knowledge, but she cannot write. So what do? So okay, we developed a term plan, and we ask her, she come around, we look at the timetable, we look at our programs, we look at the school program, then we harmonize them. Then we advise on what to do. Today, the student is a graduate.
Wow.
So the teacher-student relationship matters a lot in the life of the student.
And I think it's more outside the classroom.
Yes, it starts from the classroom. When you don't create that atmosphere of friendliness, when you don't create that atmosphere of a father, when you don't create that atmosphere of a mother, if you don't create that atmosphere of a sister, you don't tell them life experience, you don't let them understand why they are there, you don't also let them understand that there is need to relate.
Yeah.
They are going to find it very difficult, because these are people that have not known you. A lot of them have a lot of issues before they came into the system. So how do they come close to you? It is you, to a reasonable extent, that will open the door for them to come in.
That's true. That's why this your story or what you're saying takes me back to classroom days and some different characters of teachers and lecturers one has had over the years. And while you're talking, I was trying to picture them one after the other to know who was friendly, like trying to bring out the different characters. And those that were friendly were very, very, very few, from primary to secondary. And there's that saying, and it's practicable, that when you don't like a teacher, when the students don't like a teacher, because of the teacher's character attitude, you are bound to also not learn properly or gain anything from whatever subject that person is teaching. And even in secondary schools, we found out that most mathematics, physics, and chemistry teachers tend to be hostile and hard, and I don't know, and because of that, the subjects also appear to be hard and tough and difficult for people to understand. So, if all teachers, and we are talking about student-teacher relationship, if all teachers, lecturers could be fathers, mothers, uncles, like try to establish a family outside the family in the school environment, I think it will really help the learning process for every student. It will really do so. And I don't know if in the aspect of the student's own response to friendliness, I think from my own understanding, I may be wrong, most teachers tend to put up that hostility and hard-heartedness because maybe some students tend to take advantage of it and display some form of disrespect and all that. Is that the situation, sir?
Yeah, the before I go into whether it is because of the behavior of the students that makes the lecturers, put that face of hostility. You see, you made mention of issue of physics, mathematics teachers, and the rest. In teaching and learning, a lot of things are involved. One, you could be a subject specialist. You know the subject, but you don't know the appropriate instructional strategies to adopt. There is a difference between you knowing the subject and having the skills and competency to deliver the subject content. So sometimes it will also, so somebody went to school, read a particular subject or a particular course, and the person does not know it. So in that case, what some people do is to put on this face of hostility. Is to put on the face of hostility.
That kind of trying to hide their deficiency.
Their identity, yes, their deficiency before the students. Otherwise, if you know a particular subject, you should be able to deliver. If you know a particular subject, you should be happy to have people close to you to learn as a teacher. Now, in the aspect of whether it is because of the behavior of the student, there is no justification whatsoever for a teacher who is a leader, a teacher who is a father, a teacher who is a mentor, a teacher who is a guidance emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and otherwise to a students and a community to put on a face of hostility. It is not justifiable. Like I've said, if you have democratic principles that guide you and your students, that is where you go to dwell. That is where you go to dwell. In the classroom environment, teaching and learning, there are a lot of things that goes on. There are, like you said, there are a lot of students that use their closeness with their teachers to take advantage, undue advantage of their fellow students.
That's true. That's true.
That take undue advantage of their fellow students. They can even go as far as denting the image of the teacher. I had series of experiences. So in that case, what do? You call the student, talk to the student. If it is something that you now know that because of your relationship with the student, the thing is attracting other students to the student, you go to the classroom and you make your announcement. If maybe the person is your course rep, tell the student and look, henceforth, so person is not my course rep, and every business that has to do with my activities and this one, stop it. Come to me directly. Or you reappoint somebody you know that you can work with. Do you understand? So these are the things that one, but there is no justification for hostility, because putting a hostile face will make you not to be able to deliver on your responsibility as a teacher. You have a people to lead, you have a people to guide, you have a people to groom, you have future leaders to cater for and to send them into the society. So if you have this, it means that, so by the time you do that, the students will actually understand that you have a stake. Even the person that committed the crime will also know that, look, this person has a standard in his or her ways of life.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to believe that the audience, you are following up with the huge knowledge that is being dished out to us here. We are actually in the classroom section right now trying to unravel some mysteries between students and teachers. And I want to believe that you are following and do well to drop your concerns, your questions, and contributions. So, going forward, we will not deny some truth that in the course of student-teacher relationship, there have been some negative transactions, either from the students or from the lecturer, or some mutual desires that were met at some point. And whatever the negative story or case may be, the question is, within the school environment, are there, I don't know if I should use the word panel or arrangement or structure? Let me use the word structure. Is there a structure that see to some of these mishaps, either from the lecturer or from the student? How are these things managed?
Yes, you're correct. The the educational system or the school system, if you take away the primary, secondary school, the primary and secondary school, they are also system. They have their own authorities. But if you come to the tertiary institutions, these are independent bodies where everything is complete.
Okay.
You have, if it is at the polytechnic level, you have the rector with the academic board members. Now, under this academic board, they have different committees. So when issues like this arise, take for granted, when I started initially in my place, you can just wake up and sell your book. You can come, tag your book and sell at the detriment of the students. Some can even sell 2 books at academic semester. But this school came up with a policy and said, look, if you want to develop a book, if you want to write a book in such a manner that one book can serve one academic section, first and second semester.
Okay.
So now, when you write the book, there is a standing committee inaugurated by the academic board. So you submit this book to the committee will now use their benchmark and check if your book has met the standard. After meeting the standard, they will now take the book to the academic board. Academic board will now look at it and give approval. They will now tag the price. First of all, you tag the price. When they tag the price, they will now bring a standard assessor who will assess the book based on the content and the quality. Then also pick his or her own price before they will now set academic board. So these are things that the institution do to check the SSs between the teacher and the students. Then if you come to the aspect of the students, we have issues of exam malpractice, you have issue of cultism, you have issue of harassment, you have issue of pilfering, you have issue of stealing, and so on and so forth. These are the things that go wrong within the school premises, among the students, and even between the students and the teachers. So there are also committees that are in charge of those things. When issue like that arise, they will take that issue to the committee. Committee will look at it, then recommend it to the academic board, which is the highest decision-making body, who will now look at it and rectify it. If it is issue of sanction, they will sanction you. If it is issue of suspension, they will suspend you, depending on the gravity of the offense committed. So there are bodies that are there.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I think we are moving from the individual relationship or communication between lecturer students to general or body structures. Let's talk about unionism in the school. We know there are different departmental unions for students, faculty associations, and even the general students union government. I've been student in the tertiary institution before, and I think I have a little experience in that. Though I didn't play student politics, I voted at some point, but I didn't contest any role. I only did that in secondary school. So we've had cases where the school authority kind of placed a ban or restrictions on student union, they more or less influence what happens, who becomes the leadership of the union. Is that appropriate? Are they not supposed to be independent bodies that should cater or stand for the welfare of the students?
Yeah, it is not appropriate. It is not in any case a genuine process for management to interfere in students' politics. We had a case of my place where I teach now. Two persons came out to contest for SUG president, and one of them won.
Okay.
Now, in the process, they shortchanged the other person.
There was
And
really
yes, and gave a victory to the other person. But because management and our boss was a neutral person who doesn't want such a thing, he ordered for a reprocess, the whole process to be replayed out again. And at the end of the day, the victory and the mandate was given to the real person. So it is not an appropriate way, it's not a right process for management to interfere in the students' politics. You are not a student, so you wouldn't know who is going to govern you. You cannot come and detect for who will govern the students. It is the duty of the students to do that. You've done your own when you were in school, so this is their own time. But although we know that there are cases of influence, cases of influence,
individual lecturers
influence. So it does happen, and that is what any person cannot take away from anywhere. It's what happened. But that when there should be limitation in terms of the influence that is being demonstrated. It shouldn't be up to the level that even during the voting, when the parties have gone into campaign and the voting process is going on, you don't subvert the process to make sure that somebody who didn't win is now gaining victory. That is a very wrong one, and it doesn't speak well. And sometimes it also, I think, our societal system is also part of the things that influences some of these things. Because sometimes you discover that even politicians outside also will
have
candidates of their choice, because they know that during votings and election, these people, do you understand? So what they do is some of them come in, use their finance to even sponsor the students and influence them, which is not supposed to be so.
Okay, so and still on the case of unionism that we've talked about, that of the students, and we also understand that the teachers, the lecturers also have their own unions, and in recent time, presently ASU is still on strike, and talking about teacher-student relationship, we have been able to talk about the individual student and lecturer. Now on the bodies in unions, we have not heard over the years that there is a kind of a point of meeting point or agreement point between the students union body of any level and the teachers union body of any level on a particular matter bordering on academics. For instance, if ASU says what they are demanding for is for a better educational system, infrastructure, and all that, I think it is reasonable or sensible that the students who are number one beneficiaries of these academic demands should also be playing a major role in seeing that these demands are met. But personally, I think the students are even not aware. They don't even know what ASU or any other union is actually demanding for. That it kind of gives a kind of a demarcation, a kind of distance, like there is no connectedness between the student union and the lecturer. What do you have to say about that?
You're right. Over the years, it has been that way. Reason being that the issue of trust in terms of leadership has been a problem. So the students most at times think that these lecturers go for strike only for their stomach's sake and not for something that will be beneficial to them. That has been the issue all this while. But this getting to 8 month strike that has happened, I think there is a communique that has been issued out by the National Union of Nigerian Students, which I also read the content. They are actually siding the lecturers because these current schools, they've been able to come out plainly with their blueprints and their demands and their appreciation. The ASU, yes, they've been able to come out plainly with the blueprints and their demand, and they are pressing it forwardly. So the students are now keying in. If you go into our system, you see how beautiful the situations are. You go there are no classroom. You go there are no laboratories. You go there are no offices. You see people suffocating. You see students, it's getting up to the level that students learn under the shades of the trees. This is not supposed to be so. You go to a lecturer's office, it's like somebody who is in the fishing camp. Sometimes if you go and see the bad situation, what lecturers go through, that is the office they occupy. It's not something that you can compare to an ordinary counselor who just graduated with ordinary SSC. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The level of suffering, in terms of welfare, the government is not, but that is not the issue.
And when they go through all this, they tend to display this frustration or maltreatment in the classroom, and it affects their relationship with the students.
Yes,
Those
of them,
why they need to work together with the students.
Yes, those of them who have not been able to control themselves, at the end of the day, you see a transfer of aggression.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who wants to, you have worked for 5, 6, 7 years, you've not been able to drive a car. You want to drive a car, when you write a particular book, you want to sell it at a very exorbitant price, which is not supposed to be so. But the summary of the story is that with what is happening now, with the content of the letter I saw the student union, and that is why you see that I think there was even a particular time within the month of this is December, within the month of September, October, they want to go on protest. The students, yes, the student union government. So they are right now, they are supporting us in what is happening.
Okay, that's a nice one. I think, to my best of knowledge, this is the first time.
I saw a communique that was raised by them. They even gave the federal government ultimatum.
Okay.
Yes, and that was when federal government now called us back to renegotiating table.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm forced to say we thank God for such an agreement reached.
Yes.
It's something that is supposed to be. If this has been the relationship between the students, the union government, and the lecturers, I believe most of these demands should have been met years ago. Because some of the strike, I don't think the students' union government at any level has ever gone on strike based on poor classroom, poor teaching environment, and all that.
No.
Every time you hear that the student union goes, then maybe
No buzzing.
yes,
No
buzzing. And maybe there's a kind of a riot, a student was maltreated, and all that ill incident. But on basic needed things in the school, students don't go on strike. They just manage. So I want to also ask, lastly, before we go on a break, in the case of, we've had cases of intimidation from students to lecturers. Intimidation, maybe on finance, or cases of occultic activities, using that threats to lecturers, maybe to get their scores. And maybe you also mentioned a case of a lecturer writing a book and not being able to probably gain anything to buy a car. Sometimes you see students coming to school in big cars, and maybe they want to use that, maybe because of their parents' influence and all that. So Do you, in your years of studies as a teacher and also when you were a student, are there cases of intimidations of such?
Yeah, intimidations, it's one of the job hazards.
Wow,
That's
job.
it's one of the job hazards that the teachers are facing. Harassment, especially in the aspect of cultism. It's very, very pronounced, especially when management is not on top of the issue. Of course, you have the chief security officer of the school who is not a spirit to
At
be
all,
everywhere.
at all.
Then even if he's everywhere, is not because for somebody to come to harass you, such a person must have made a plan and equipped his
And
or
also
herself.
check the security
Yes,
situation.
The situation to harass you. So it is there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them that can intimidate you with their big political fathers and mothers outside the school environment. Some of them can even threaten you, especially even in at the age that you're trying to put things right. Take for granted now that a lot of schools, like where I am now, that are now trying to check dress codes, you discover that the people at the gate that have been mandated as a committee to check the kind of dresses that students come in with into the school premises are facing a lot of challenges in terms of threat, insult, and so many. You discover that, especially during exam, you see them at the point they now come to the class, they come during exam to come and fetch those students. Because sometimes when they treating them like that, they end up at the gate and they will go. So mostly the exams will not bring them. So they've known them, they have their data, come to the classroom to see how to face them. So there are a lot of them in terms of threats because of their wealth, their position. They've seen you as a lecturer who does not have anything. They've seen the environment where you are working. They see the car you come in. Sometimes you don't even have car. You understand? You don't even have car. Some of them are wealthier than you. They are doing well more than you. So, but that is not how it's supposed to be. That is not a teacher is a teacher. It's just one who has decided to take such oath to, come and help the society in building character. It's not. I used to tell people that when you want to go into academic environment, you're not looking at the finance. If you want to go look at the finance, the money that is involved, you will not go into it because you can work 5, 6, 7. There are some principles. There are some principles that are only they can only build house during close to their retirement age. That's not supposed to be so. You know, sir. Wherefore the teacher ought to be properly taken care of. So a lot of intimidation there are, but especially in the aspect of content. Sometimes when the place is quiet, they can even come into your office to harass you. They'll come to harass you, especially if they discover that they've written your course, they have meritedly failed. So somebody who has meritedly failed will now come and see how to, intimidate you to see that if he or she can use that process to, get what by force. So there are cases of like that.
Okay, that's intimidation from students to lecturers. How about from the other way around?
It does happen. It's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
But that in all of this, most of the schools, management has put on disciplinary measures. If you're caught, if you go to some schools, there are schools are dismissing people. I read online where a professor in a particular school in River State here was dismissed because of misconduct. From where we have interact, there are cases like that too. So this is because of disciplinary measures that are put in place by the school to checkmate the activities of the teacher against the students. So both the both side of the whole story, to look at the students, it comes from the side of the students to the lecturer and also comes from the side of the lecturer to the students.
Okay, thank you very much for the concise response to all the questions. And from my personal observation, you are not holding back, you're giving it all out as much as you can. We are going to take a very short break, and when we are back, we're going to see how we can wrap it up with this segment and move forward. I think we've spent up to close to an hour already. Go nowhere, stick with us, we'll be back. Thank you.
Musical FIPMD. Musical FIPMD. Musical FIPMD. Musical FIPMD.
Esteemed ladies and gentlemen in the audience, we can see, we can't help but notice that there have not been any questions. We want to believe that we are all on the same page. We are understanding what Mr. Philip Ukata is giving to us, and you are also there listening. And for any reason you have any question based on your experience in school as a student or as a teacher, feel free to drop on the comment section. And if there's anything that our guest hasn't cleared properly, you are free to put in your opinion. Other than that, we want to believe that we are on the same page. Going forward, sir, trying to wrap up everything, we would love you to just give us, based on your experience as a lecturer, once a student, on the general aspect of the Nigerian educational system, maybe in comparison with the outside world, what it is, what should be, what it's supposed to be, also the role of parents in the student-teacher relationship. Just give us a kind of summary of everything.
The truth is that the Nigerian education system is a very serious mirage. It's a very big problem and a big shame. What we're saying is that we have what it takes to put in place a very smooth and very nice system that can serve the people, that even people from outside can come and join us as foreign students. I have read several times in the 80s, in the 70s, where we used to have foreign students from Ghana, Cameroon, they come to school with us. But today the case is different.
I don't think we have any that deliberately
I cannot. And I don't even know if we have what they call vice chancellor's scholarship, what they call a rector's scholarship, that are being given to students in the outside the country. So this is a problem. You go to the school environment, you're not seeing good buildings. There are no good classrooms, no classroom facilities, no instructional facilities. The offices are nothing to go home. You cannot talk anything about them. They are in a very pitiful manner. All these are problems. So the system itself is something that requires attention of the government, attention of the parents, attention of the teachers, attention of the students. It's a system that requires the effort of everybody. So the government should be able to provide the necessary facilities. The necessary facilities, the building should be there, the learning, the instructional materials should be made available. We have the money. UNICEF is talking about 26%, but the last one that Nigeria did, just 6%.
26% of what?
26% of every budget.
Okay, to be
shifted into the educational system. That is the standard. That is the UNICEF standard. But what we have, the last one I have read is just 6%.
6%.
So this is minute. It has nothing to do.
What would 6% do?
Looking at the population of Nigeria. Then in the aspect of the parents, now ASU is clamoring for revitalization of the whole system, apart from their academic allowance that they are asking that will be shared to the various institutions. But their aim is government come and rescue the system. All these people that will have in the system, none of their children are here.
I think
even our
Minister
president
of Education, while ASU is on strike, academic activities are on hold in Nigeria, he was celebrating the graduation of his child in the UK.
Do you understand? Even somebody, the person that we have at the head as our president, none of his child schooled in Nigeria. So these are people that deliberately came into a system.
I'm sorry to say, even some of the lecturers, their students are not in Nigeria.
Of
Children
course.
are not in Nigeria.
Of course. Because of the way and the manner the system is. Like this one that ASU is going now. Who knows when it's going to end? We have cases where ASU and government have a strike. Sometimes if it is not within government and it could be within the state and the institution. and the student that is supposed to run a program of 4 years will now end up spending 5 years, 6 years. And we know the kind of system we have, where people don't start school on time because of the economic harshness of the whole process. And when you finish, you want to go and look for a job, they will be giving you age limits
and experience.
And experiences that you don't, you cannot apply.
They are not even employed people as above 35 or so.
So this is a problem. So one,
NYC above 30, you
can't
can't
go.
And that's one area you're supposed to gain some level of experience.
And if you come back and you want to go for a job without that NYC experience, it becomes a problem. They look at you as one who is incomplete. So the government ought to make and provide the necessary facilities, the necessary environment. Then we also now to talk about our managers, institutional managers. Apart from the issue of government, we know that the government cannot provide everything. There are some little things that they can also do based on the internally generated revenue, the IGR. So these are the things that they too should also do. Then when it comes to the parents should know that education is expensive. Somebody will tell you that if you say education is expensive, go and try ignorance. Try ignorance. So you're sending your child to a school. This is era of skill. This is era of competency. So if the school cannot provide all that is needed, there are basic things that you as a parent should be able to provide for your child. And that our culture, that our African culture and value system is very, very important.
Very important.
Very, very important. The culture of respect, the culture of honor, the culture of value, attaching so much respect and importance to the age system, to your somebody that age you, to somebody that is guiding you, somebody that is leading you.
Yeah.
Parents should be able to tell their students, you don't, because your father or your mother has accumulated excess wealth, you now bring such thing to the school environment to come and intimidate. It will create a gap. It will create a gap between you and the person.
No lecturer will be happy to give you what he has.
Yes, it will create a very serious gap. Then another thing, in the aspect of the lecturer or teacher-student relationship, students should know that the teacher as a classroom manager is there to instill discipline. And if the disciplines are not there, it means that the specific objective they are supposed to acquire as students will not be met. As such, they should not see the teacher as somebody who is hostile in the process of trying to implement the classroom rules. Sometimes the mood you see the teacher in the classroom is quite different when you see the teacher after the classroom. The classroom environment is a business environment.
Very formal
A very formal environment where attentions are given to specific issues that are relevant to what is going on in the class. If there is any humor in the process that comes from the lecturer or either in the students, it is part of the process. But don't see your lecturer or a teacher as one who is very, very hostile. There are sometimes you misperceived the person. When you go to the office or you meet the person outside the classroom, you see a different person entirely. Whatever be the case, sum up courage. Make sure you interact with your lecturer or your teacher. If there are things that you find difficult, let me tell you a particular story. There is one of my students. He made this clothes for me.
Wow.
I have been able to project him to a lot of my friends. And now, through me, he has over 10 customers.
Wow.
This is a student that is very, very humble. But if there are other students who will see me in the classroom and they will give a different interpretation. But this is the same student too, who have been able to come to the office, sat down with me, we discuss family issues, discuss business issues, and so many things. And today, through me, because of the teacher-student relationship, he has gained customers.
Wow.
He has gained customers. So you don't see. There are sometimes There are some teachers that go as far as paying students school fees.
Yes.
There are some based on your capacity. If a teacher, a real teacher, who is a character molder, who is a father, a mentor, sees that a student is intelligent and is having deficiency in terms of finance, sometimes they go in and pay their school fees. There are times sometimes they can give money, go and buy your textbook. There are times that they can give you money.
also help to see that the child gets a scholarship.
Get a scholarship. They can sort it out for you. So these are the things. But if you stay in the abstract, if you stay in the distance, these are things you can't get. There is not to stop a student from going to see the highest man in the school, either the rector or the VC. It all depends on your state of mind.
Sometimes the protocols too makes
the protocols are there, but there are sometimes you need to experience these things because you are part of the process. You are also part of the system. Do you understand? So these are the things that students should be able to know, that you have these things at the back of their mind. So the government has a role to play, the lecturers have role to play, the students have role to play, the parents have role to play, and then to some of us who are teachers, we should know that this thing is a call.
Yeah.
Initially they
call
used to say that yes, call to service, that our reward are in heaven. But we are praying that it shouldn't also it should only be in heaven. It should start from this side.
Let us have a feel of whatever.
Yes, because you too, as a teacher, you have responsibility. Your personal responsibility is there, your family is there, you need to take care of them. Of course, if you go to, there are sometimes I just sample the opinion of my students. How many of them that are ready to become a teacher? You see a very minute number of students.
Because some teachers, they say in a condition.
Do you understand? Because of the value system. The only people that will tell you, the only thing they will tell you that they want to be is, I want to be a lecturer. Because there is a value attached to the title. But in terms of the monitoring value and welfareism, it is not something that is too good. Recently, over 400 teachers, 400 lecturers from Nigeria has relocated to Ethiopia. Yes. And I was also reading from the statement of the...
Apart from export of doctors or migration of doctors.
Teachers are also migrating. Wow. Teachers are migrating very seriously because there, you cannot compare their package to what we have here. Go to a place like Uganda, their package is far, far better than what we have here. So a lot of persons that have seen the opportunity that are migrating. I read from the statement of Minister of Labour that he wants to invoke the Nigerian labor law. You know,
to do what?
Because of this strike, this ASU strike and issue. Who is happy to stay in this kind of system? A lot of persons are not happy. Some of them who are there in that position, if they give what they are given to lecturers in a month to them, they will slump. They will slump. Do you understand? Because what they receive as allowance in a week is more than what some lecturers. Do you understand? So that is the problem. So it's a whole system, and we are believing that all of us will put hands together, including the politicians, the civil society too. They have a role. Like now, ASU is crying. What is the civil society doing? They should also have a role to play to drag the attention of the government, support ASU, because what we are seeing is the people at the bottom and a little average people that are in the system.
Even these associations you talk about that certify people like engineers, Society of Engineers and others, they are even supposed to come into these areas, and they also have roles to play to improve the educational system. Like a Society of Engineers could go to different institutions and see what they can do in the engineering faculties to support the government. I think things like that.
There are some of them that are coming up. Like a few months ago in my school, there is a particular association that came to the school. So what they came to do is They came and see the structure, the things on ground, and also collaborate with the department. And they now begin to give the students a talk, and they are now looking at the career prospect and development of the students side by side with them. So there are a few of them. You look at Association of Business Educators of Nigeria, where I belong to. We just held our 36th annual conference in Oka recently, and we're able to bring out a blueprint and we send it to the House of the National Assembly, including the Minister of Education, to see the stand of the associations, especially in terms of skill education. Skill education, education that somebody, when you graduate, you'll be able to have something to do.
Yeah.
We'll look at that.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we spent a lot of time on the first segment, and we want to thank you, sir, for all you have done. You have really lectured us. You have really improved the student-teacher relationship from this aspect, and we are sure whoever watches this episode, this show, is going to have a new horizon, a new perspective, or should I say reasoning, when it comes to teachers and students relationship. Thank you so much, sir. Right about now, we are moving to the next segment, and that is the magic box. This is where, sir, you're going to ballot on the available colors that represent the trending topics for the week. Whichever one you pick, you're going to tell us anything you know about it. So on the screen and also on your screen, we have the color red, which says police brutality, youths in Rokboko and Romodomaya communities in Rivers State protest as police shoots a tricycle operator dead. Wow, that's a trending issue. It happened today, I think so. On the next color gold, we have Ghana elections. President Nana Akufo-Addo re-elected for second term. That's the Ghanaian president. They just completed the elections. On the next color blue, we have ASU. ASU releases a statement denounce suspending strike. Okay, these are the three trending topics we have amidst so many trending topics. It's our culture. We just pick three to talk about. So at this point, you just look away, put your hands in, and whichever color you pick.
My left or my right hand?
Whichever one that is convenient to you, sir. I should recommend the left hand. It's closer to the box.
It's okay.
Okay, sir. Yes. Any color at all. Yes, that's color gold. What do we have on the color gold? Yes. It's a political topic. Ghana elections. President Nana Akufo-Addo re-elected for second term. Okay, sir, what do you know about this?
Yeah, Ghana election is a big lesson for a country like Nigeria.
Okay.
We have seen what has happened in our last election. We had a lot of bloodshed and a lot of influences and all that. That is not to say there were no iota of rigging or issues in Ghana election. But you can see that relatively the atmosphere is peaceful.
We didn't hear of any form of violence
after the election. Even during the election, we didn't hear. But these are cases that are usually prominent. So Nigeria, we say we are giant of Africa, we are leader of Africa. But you see little African countries, although Ghana ages Nigeria in terms of independence. So this President Nana Akufo-Addo, his father had been one of the founding fathers of Ghana, and I think he's 76 now. He's old, and it's a problem for us in Africa, where you see people who are so aged, coming into political system. It's a lot of things. Running an office of that nature demands a lot of things. We thank God that this is his second term. But he has issues at heart. There are promises that he has made in his first tenure. He has not been able to fulfill them, a lot of them. He talked about building strong hospitals in all the 206 districts in Ghana. He has never been able to fulfill that. He has also promised them during his first tenure that there is going to be a free educational system in the high school. He has not been able to do that. Currently, he is the chairman of West African Trade Community. That is a big position that is going to take its time. You also have
Why would they give that position to a sitting president? Is it not multitasking?
Yeah, he was a sitting president when he got the position. Perhaps
is it like an appointment exclusive for presidents?
yes, it's exclusive for president. It's usually a position that are being held by president. So he is the chairman of that. So now it means that he is also going to look at the unity of Africa
In the business.
in the business aspect of it. Of course, you cannot take away politics and security from business. If there is no proper politics and security, the business aspect of it will not strive very well. So he's going to look at that. Now, there is also issue of coronavirus, during coronavirus and post-coronavirus. He's going to look at, he's going to also have issue of the economic problem of Ghana. How he's going to, roll his people out of it and come out successfully to make sure that the economy strives. So these are big issues, plus the promises of the second tenure, looking at his age. But we are believing that they have good system. He is also from a good background. So we are believing that God by his side, he will be able to deliver and also bring in the unity of Africa in terms of trade.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think it's like you said, it's a very huge lesson for Nigeria in the aspect of election violence, post-election violence, and even during elections. I think I was going through some comments on Instagram, on Twitter, and we saw some reactions from individuals that the election was rigged. And somebody, I think that person is a Ghanaian, shouted, replied to another person that, do you think this is Nigeria? And it was like a slap.
Yeah.
But I wanted to respond and say, let me just leave it, let it be. I think they also had the issue of a delay in the release of election results. I was watching Arise News, I think that was 2 days ago, and we were interviewing some of the voters, and they were complaining that they promised them that the results will come out within 24 hours or so, but it has passed the promised day, and they were also helping to give the government reasons why such delays of that there were rains and also some difficulties in the voting process. So in all, they have done well. I think they have even done better than the USA. Looking at what is happening, I think
in USA.
In USA, yeah.
Because there are serious conflicts.
Yeah, conflicts. I think yesterday or so, I saw a tweet that the Supreme Court or something has struck out an appeal from Donald Trump trying to stop the counting process. They are still counting, but so far so good. Biden has won, and also talking about age, I think President-elect Biden is older, if I'm not mistaken, than this Ghanaian president. And people are also trying to compare his age and Nigerian President Buhari, and trying to say that age should not be an excuse for some malpractices and delivery. That the man has not yet been sworn in, yet he is almost done assembling his cabinet. He has started making appointments and all that. Our president in Nigeria was elected for like over 6 months or so.
No cabinet
formation, and we are now hinging on age. So, to me, age should not be the issue. You're not working alone. There are people working with you that should assist. So, thank you so much. I don't know if you have anything to say about the other topics. Let's see. The riot, police brutality. Sorry, before you say something, I think still on police brutality, we're still having NSAS still trending. And just yesterday, President Buhari came up to kind of say that the reports from CNN and BBC it's not accurate, that is biased, that CNN did not cover the police officers that were killed in the course of the process, police stations that were burned, and all these things all still boils down to police brutality.
When you have a leader who does not place value on the people he leads, that is usually the case. The issue of ENSASH would have been, would have not gotten up to that level if you have a president that acts fast. In a situation like that, what stopped a president from coming out to address the nation? The protesters took the protest to very close to you.
Yes.
So what stops you from coming out? If you have the people at heart, if you have sympathy on if you believe in what the people are doing and coming out to address them. If you had come out to address those people, it wouldn't have degenerated up to that level. So what they are doing is just a cover-up. The thing is, they are not feeling the pains of the ordinary people. But the thing is that the revolution has started. It's an issue of the mind. People now understand what is happening, and the people know that they can also do something. So we are not
seeing the extent of power
that
they have
in the hands of the people.
Yes.
You understand? The people hold the power. It's just that we don't have the appropriate information. A lot of our youth don't have the appropriate information and how to go about it.
And that aspect of information is becoming a bygone as a problem with the help of the social media.
Yes.
We're having access to virtually everything.
Yes.
The level of information manipulation
Yes.
back then,
Yes.
where you tell people what you wanted to know through the newspapers and NTA 9 o'clock news.
They are the people that owns those media.
Yes, they tell us what they want us to know, and because that era is gone. They're angry. They're coming up with social media bill and the rest.
I had a recommended tweet from the Minister of Labour State, Festus Cairo, and it was recommended to my port, and I read it. And he was trying to give us a brief of how far they have tried. And I asked him, I said, even you too, you that in 6 months that you people are still negotiating. And people around are privy to information, how much they earn as allowances, what the kind of laws the governors and the House of Assemblies are, putting their heads together to make sure that even at the period that they will leave the office, they will still be keep benefiting. People are privy to all these things. So the coming to issue of Europa, it is quite unfortunate that while we are talking about issue of police brutality, Stursting is still taking place in Rivers State, and what was the cost? 100 naira. 100 naira. So it's very, very shameful, very, very shameful and uncalled for. And like people are talking about restructuring and reorganizing the whole system, it is a very, very important issue. Not be a graduate for you to be conscientized, to know what to do that is right and what is wrong. But if a system, the structure of a system is well customized in a manner that they have a very good value system, the people too who are in the system will understand what it takes.
Sure.
So when you go to a system that is porous and you see that this is what is practiced in the system, the people will follow. So a issue of saying somebody to become a policeman or a policewoman, you must be, it is not there. There is need for good value system, reorientation, conscientizing them. They should understand that they are there to guide the people. Then apart from that, the issue of welfareism, this is not what these people do, what these people earn and what they go through is not what is obtainable in other parts of the world.
At all. That's
their
why
welfare is
poor for police restructuring. Their welfare is
very poor. Their welfare is very poor. How much are they earning? If you look at some of them,
they buy their own uniform.
Some of them, if you look at what they wear on the road, you cannot even come closer to them. But just because they are there, just the name, please. And that is why people give them respect. But in terms of the value system, the government is not attaching any value. In other parts of the world, if anything happened to a policeman or even an army, the country is ready to go to war. But Nigeria is not like that. Our case here is different. So their welfare should be taken into consideration, because if they are well paid, I know that somebody who is corrupt is corrupt. A corrupt person is a corrupt person. Yes. But at least it will go a long way to improve the system
and reduce some of these mishaps.
And also another thing is, these people, how many times do they go on training? Retraining, that is in-house training. They don't go. They don't go. It is difficult for them to have a general in-house training. After the 6-month training, that they have a large crowd of human beings put together in a place with very poor means. The kind of meals a lot of them eat in the training, if they give to you, some of them come back to have chicken pox.
There's one other thing.
So these are the kind of training that affect their psyche.
Not just the police, and generally in the military and all that. I don't know where we derive that mentality that until you subject people to some level of torture and suffering, that's when maybe you're actually training them. To the extent, even the educational system, some people feel when you're talking about your educational experience, if you are not living in a poor hostel, it means you didn't actually go to school.
No.
If you are not reading in the night with candle and under mosquito, it means you didn't actually go to school. What's wrong in studying in a good environment?
Let me be something. If all these people, all these our leaders now, these are leaders that went to school free.
Yeah.
There are people that went to school in the late 60s, 70s.
If you are begging them to go to school.
Begging them to go to school, they have free food, 3-square meal, they had scholarship. One of my lecturer particularly told me, he said when she went to school, that if a pin falls in the classroom, a pin, that you see it. And the lecturer knows them, all of them, named by their names. Because one, they were few, and they have the apparatus available to teach, to learn. They are entitled to everything. So, but the system is not like that today. The system is not like that. Even the public schools where people pay money to go to is not well equipped. So it's a problem. It's a problem. And all these people that we have as our leaders today, none of their children are here. All of them are outside.
They're outside.
So it's a big issue.
It's an issue. Thank you so much. Okay, let's. I think that's the last topic. Let's move to the next segment. Wow, we have really done wonderful. We're moving to the next segment, and this is the blind spot. This is where we place a call to whom you have given a number, and the name of the person is Itoro Philip Festus Ukata. Sorry, sir, who is this person to you?
Right, she's my wife.
Wow. This is wonderful. Let me put a call across to her. So she's aware that a call will be sent to her. Going on a break. Hold on, be back. What is happening?
Musical FIPMD. Musical FIPMD.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the little break. It was necessary, and right about now we are in the very last segment of the show, and this is the blind spot. Right about now, I'm putting a call across to Itoro Philip Festus Ukata, the dear wife of our guest, and I'm sure she is at the other end expecting this call. Hmm. Yes, it is ringing. Yeah. Okay. We're waiting for her to respond. Hello, good evening. My name is Stephen Muzan, aka Influence, calling you from the live show Influence Talk Time. I'm here with your dear husband, Mr. Philip Ukata.
Okay.
Yeah, so he gave us your number as part of the show. We are live on YouTube right now, and I'll be asking you some questions. And we are sure that you're going to give us accurate answers.
Alright.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, you're free.
Okay, the first question that he has given us the answer is, where did he meet his spouse? That should be very simple.
Sorry, come again.
Where did he meet his spouse? Where did he meet you?
Okay. It was during a marriage committee of the
Wow. That's correct. Exact answer that he gave. That's a wonderful one. Okay, my next question. Are you ready for me?
Yes.
What is his favorite sport?
Several ones.
Sports.
Okay. Wrestling and boxing.
Wow. This is wonderful. Wrestling and boxing, straight to the point. That's correct. And the next question is, what is his allergy? What is he allergic to?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Allergic to what?
Is allergic to, I think you're going to be allergic to something. That's right?
Yes, things he's allergic to, is not comfortable with.
Okay. Fry.
What?
Security. Fry.
Okay, can we just keep it within his meal, his food, the things he's allergic to in his health, his meal, nutrition aspects. His food allergy.
Okay, food allergy.
Yes.
Okay. Allergic to.
Mm-hmm. That's your department. Right in the kitchen. I wouldn't want him to make the statement of President Buhari. So should we skip and come back to it, or you give us the answer right away? Okay. Okay, we're gonna come back to that question because that's your department. So the next question is, who is his favorite Nigerian actor, Nollywood actor, his favorite Nollywood actor? Wow, Petedoshe. That's true. That's correct. Okay, that's a wonderful one. Going forward, now this is a live situation that he has given us answers already. I want to know if the answers are okay. So I'm going to read out the situation. The situation is, if your spouse and only child are in the kidnapper's net and you're called, A ransom is demanded by the kidnappers in exchange for their freedom. Unfortunately, you can only afford the stipulated amount to buy freedom, but for one person alone, and you are asked to choose amongst these two, spouse and only child. Who will he choose? You or the only child?
Okay. In as much as both of them are very important to me,
Now, the question is not directed to you. The question is directed to your husband, and he has also already given the answer. So we want you to speak his mind. Who do you think is going to release, you or the only child?
it's going to be
He's going to release you. You're so confident about this.
yourself.
Wow. This is wonderful. This is going very, very well. You're correct. He said he would release his spouse. Wow. I feel like applauding. My hands are filled right now. Okay, let me move to the next question. Now, it's a similar situation. Let me read it out. You just got married, and a year into the marriage, tragedy struck. Your spouse develops a chronic heart disease that needs immediate surgery. Fortunately, you won a lottery of 27 million naira. The doctor/hospital demands for 26.5 million naira for the surgery, with 50% assurance that the surgery will be successful. Will you save your spouse? Is he going to save you?
Come on again, I didn't really get that question.
Okay, this is the situation. You just got married, and unfortunately, God forbid, you developed a heart disease, and fortunately, within the same period, he won a lottery or a contract of 27 million naira. Now, out of that 27 million naira, the doctors are demanding for 26.5 million naira. And the surgery, they're only giving 50% assurance. 50-50 assurance. Now, the question is he going to part way with 26.5 million naira out of 27 million naira to give to the doctors without good assurance, 50% chance? Is he going to do that?
I will, I'll definitely do that.
You will. Will he do that?
He will do it.
He will do it. Wow. Love. He will do it. He said he will do it. He said he will do it. And you will do it as well. That's a wonderful one. That's correct. That's correct. Now the very last question, ma. You have already cleared. If it was to be elections, I would say you won a landslide. Okay, the last question. This is a statement of truth and lie. He has made the statement already. Now I'm going to read out the statement, and you tell me which side of the statement is true and which side is false.
Okay.
Now the statement goes thus: I am a sinless person, but I pray for forgiveness almost every day.
Okay.
I am a sinless person, but I pray for forgiveness almost every day. Which side of the statement is true and which side is a lie?
I am a sinless person.
True or false?
Can I take it again?
I am a sinless person, but I pray for forgiveness almost every day. Hello?
I am a sinless person.
Yes,
And I pray for forgiveness every day.
almost every day.
Almost every day.
Okay?
So what next?
Which side of the statement is true? Is it that I am a sinless person? Is it true or false?
False.
It's false. It's not sinless. Okay? It's false. Okay, and he said within the same statement, I pray for forgiveness almost every day. Is it still false?
No, I pray for
Almost every day.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. Wow. That's absolutely correct. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your response, your accurate answers. I don't know, should we go back to the other question or we should just call it a night?
Okay, so that
About these allergies. Yeah.
I thought of it
I think you discussed that at home. Thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for your kind response. Thank you so much. We appreciate you from INW and ITT. Have a good night, guys. Really want to say hi to your husband before we go. He's hearing you. Say hi to him. Could you say hi to her?
Hello, sweetie. Good evening. Thank you.
Okay, good night. He'll be with you in a few minutes. Good night. Bye. Okay, that was a wonderful one. Thank you so much. I think from my assessment, I've been on this chair from episode 1 till now. I'll say if I'm going to give scores, this is the most accurate of response we've had so far. Most accurate.
Thank you.
If I should got it all correct.
Thank you.
This is wonderful. So one day I'm going to get to that point.
Thank you.
Somebody will know me. That's nice.
It all even started before we went for our marriage
committee meeting.
Yeah, committee meeting. Although we didn't had so much time to stay together like that, but any little time we had to stay together.
It was that day that it became formal and minds were rubbed. We rubbed minds and chatted the way forward.
Yes.
That's nice. We are learning. We are learning. People like us.
It's necessary.
It's very necessary. Thank you so much, sir. I think, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, thank you for enjoying with us. We've really come far and we appreciate each and every one of you. At this point in the show, we would love to call it a night, but before we do so, sir, we would love you to once again tell the audience about yourself and your social media presence so that they can follow you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You handle everything so they can follow you in case they have more inquiries or questions.
All right. Our ex-team audience, thank you for being there, and thank you also for following up this program. This is one of the most educative programs I've ever watched and witnessed. We stand tall anywhere in time to advertise it. And my name is Philip Festus. If it is on Facebook, you just Google my name. You see us. As soon as you get my name, you see my Twitter handle. You see my Facebook handle. My phone numbers are also there.
Okay.
And apart from that, we are deeply into academic research. On Google Scholar, we have so many publications.
Wow. Google Scholar.
Yeah,
check
Google
it.
Scholar.
Just search.
Just use your
Ukata.
yes, just use your search engine and type our name. You will see our names attached to our articles, our publications. We have publications in Europe, UK,
Wow.
Asia, and America,
Wow.
including their libraries. We also have books online. So
Your books are they in Amazon?
yes, I have 2 books in Amazon.
That's
Also have a book that has been translated into 7 major languages of the world.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
So I wrote that last year, 2019. So we have 2 major books online now.
And they're all academic books.
Yes, they're all academic books, but the one that I wrote last year is on student learning experiences. I talked on
I
student
think
learning experiences.
it's more or less in connection with the topic
Yes,
of the
yes,
day.
very, very.
Wow.
And in that aspect, I was looking at a student as a customer to the institution and the value system that the institution should attach to the student in providing a good learning environment to make sure that the money that the parents and the students are spending has value.
Has value. Commensurate value.
Commensurate value with what they have spent. So that was just the summary. So I was looking at stretch of experiences, those factors that actually influence them. What was on the mind of the student before coming into the cinema, and what was the expectation. So these are the issues. Then the other one, I was looking at the curriculum content of our own particular program. Then I also talked extensively about teaching method, types of curriculum. I talked about collaboration.
I think those two books will really help a lot to cement today's topic.
So I have it. Then we are working on something very new. That is on advanced word processing, about 700 pages. Is 80% ready.
That's I think when that book is ready, you also need a copy. Like we have this one here.
Yes.
This book was launched. I think I saw you in the book launch, and we did a giveaway with this book right on this show. And the audience, watch out whenever that book is ready.
For
there will be a copy.
For ICT that can guide students, whether secondary, ND, HND, secondary, the university students. We have a book on ICT. It's also good for office workers, including teachers. So they are also there available. So if you Google our name, you see all of it.
Just go to Google Scholar and look for Festus Philip Ukata. Also go on Amazon and look for Festus Philip Ukata and all his publications.
And we're also floating. We just registered a company that's fully going.
So you're beginning to do commercial. We're going to roll out some charges. Thanks a lot, yes. So that's one of the privileges of being our guest.
Thank you. So we just registered the association. It's actually an organization that is registered strictly basically for research. We also extend our tentacles, but we want to see how we can incorporate students. We want to also see how we can use it to groom students, people who are interested in engaging themselves meaningfully. So we are looking at aspect that if we have a good structure, like some of the things that you have talked about here, we see people with a very high prospect who can come in and bring them in, partner with them. And so that is just the essence of it.
Thank you so much, sir. We have a lineup of guests that have come to this point. We are going to make some recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, esteemed audience. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Remember to follow us on Instagram and YouTube, IMW_official_ on Twitter and on Instagram. Don't forget to follow us, Influence Media World, on Facebook. And don't forget to follow me as well, Steven Muzan, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. See you next week, Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. ITT, let's talk the talk.